Welcome back, guys. This is Legit Lee back again with another video for you. Today we're going to be doing a little sneak peek of the new machine that I designed in Blender. Yeah, that's my favorite program. You guys know what it is. So, in this design, I am making a C02 laser cutter. Now you're probably wondering, Lee, why the heck are you making another machine? You want to know why? Because all the stuff I want to make has to do with this machine, basically. I am making a company called Animate Every Day, and it really pretty much is made. I just have to start making the items. But I have a lot of plexiglass from another job from way back in the day, and it's just laying around. I want to use that to make the materials out of the stuff I want to design for you guys to buy. So the laser that I have is a 5-watt laser that's on my CNC machine that I designed a few months back, and it's not the best. It can't cut out clear acrylic, which that's mainly what I have. So like, screw it, let me get a C02. So, you know, as everybody, we look onto the internet and find the K40 laser engraver. Fantastic machine, I guess. I mean, a lot of people have their comments about it, but it is a 40-watt laser engraver that theoretically can cut through acrylic, which is clear acrylic plexiglass. Now, it's a 40-watt laser, and it's infrared, so you can't see the beam of light. I bought this off of a guy on Facebook, the marketplace, at a steal too. It was only $300. Now, usually they're going from like anywhere to like $320 to $350 new, but I had to wait for shipping and all that. No, I just went and picked this up, and it's basically brand new. Literally, it looked like I took it out of the box, to be honest. It still had packaging foam on it. The guy said he bought it for a project, but he never got around to actually using it. So here in the machine, we have aluminum excursion, 20 by 20, 20 by 40, and then we have some brackets here that hold the V-wheels in to allow it to travel. I designed these brackets back here. I didn't design everything. I just tweaked what I could for other designs that I found, and made it work. And Blender helped with all that. And one thing I am proud of is this design right here. So I'm going to show you really quick. So I bought the K40, then I bought this controller because I want to make sure I have some really good precision and stuff, and everybody was recommending these type of controllers. So I bought this. It was $220, so now we went from $300 to $420. And then, but what's great about this one is literally it can do, it's a 32-bit processor, so it's faster processing than those regular Arduino 8-bit processors like the Mega 2650 or 2650, I believe is the name of it, or 2560, something like that, I forget. All I know is it's faster processing. This doesn't need a computer. On top of that, you don't need a computer to update the firmware to allow it to know how fast it needs to move, how long it can move to, like the length or where your travel speed amount is. So if you can do 1,000 millimeters, but it's only set for 500, you can change it here inside of the controller itself. And also, if you have a job on a flash stick, like a USB stick on a storage device, you can plug it into this USB port and make it print straight off of the hard drive itself. So you don't need to connect this to a computer at all. It's completely standalone, which is fantastic because nobody wants to sit for a few hours waiting for a part to print out or cut. And it saves on power because now you don't have to have a computer on the whole time. Anyway, I designed this part completely from scratch, and it's exactly the same replica as the controller itself. Now, it's not grouped together all in one mesh. These are a bunch of different meshes just sitting in place, but it's fantastic, so I like it. We have the reset, stop, start, you know, arrows up and down, Z up and down, the USB port hole. Everything is like literally the same as that thing as if you were looking at it in real life. So, with that being said, this machine was based off of this piece of wood. I have a 2x4, so I mean 2 feet by 4 feet sheet of wood. That's where this is going to be sitting into, like a table. And I wanted to make sure that the machine was really compact, so that way I can get the most cutting space possible. So the machine won't need to have extra aluminum excursions for extra lengths or anything like that. I try to do really cheap. So we go from this guy to real life. So that's what I pretty much am about, guys. If you're interested in real life designs, this is pretty much what my channel is usually around for the most part. I mean, I do some other stuff here and there, but for the most part, I'm designing machines or something in Blender and making it into real life. I even started a Facebook group called Blender Designs in IRL. If you don't know about it, definitely go check it out. Join the group. It'll be worth your while. Anyway, the machine can move on its own rails. So like the excursion themselves are their rails too. So you don't need to buy any extra parts. Now I want to go super cheap for a few reasons. I'm not going to say 2 or 3 or anything, there's a few. So one of the main reasons was, since we're in the coronavirus, it's hard to get parts for 3D printers or CNC machines or whatever that don't cost you an arm and a leg. So China is pretty much out of the water. You can't really order anything right now from them. And that's usually where most people get their parts, like Gearbest and stuff is outsourced from China or Shenzhen or whatever. And you can't get them. So I'm using stuff that I already had here from previous 3D printers and machines that I was building over the past few years. And they were just, you know, obviously storing up. So I was lucky enough to have extra parts. But super simple design. So we got 3D printer NEMA 17 stepper motors here and here. Then we got a 3D printer end stop here and here. And what's great about it is I thought the end stop was going to blow, but it didn't. And what I mean by blow is fry out, because I was pretty sure the switch would have kept working, but I thought for sure the LED, this LED right here, was going to be like broken or like fry out, but it didn't. So I was really lucky. I don't know what the rating power is with the resistor or whatever, but I was happy because this is a 24 volt system, and usually these end stops, I'm only usually running them at 5 to 12 volts with their other 3D printer motherboards and stuff. So anyway, so I didn't need to order any extra parts, and you would think you'd need to, because this control system that I have, it doesn't have a lot of traction like I thought it was going to. The little brother to this one, like the earlier model, does a little bit, but not a whole lot. And even that, I didn't remember seeing anything about end stop, you know, stuff. But I figured it out doing a lot of research and reading a bunch of different PDF manuals and stuff. And I was finally like, you know, I'm gonna test it, see if it works, and bam, it did. So they recommend an end stop that is optical, which costs like, I think it was like $7 to $8 ish. But I don't need it, and I'm happy without even having it, to be honest, because that's just extra money I didn't need to spend. So now, if you're new to this channel, I did do a video on how to convert a T-slot aluminum excursion to a V-slot. And if you don't know what that is, I feel sorry for you, because you definitely need to find out if you're designing stuff like this. But I'm going to go ahead and give you a little bit of a breakdown so we can just speed through this stuff. So T-slot is basically a aluminum excursion that has a completely flat surface, nothing in this groove. A V-slot is basically a groove that has a V-channel drilled through it to allow things to go through the center. So you see that little cut right through there. And I show how to make that. Now, the reason why you would like to do that is because we're using V wheels. They're cheap, easily available. I have a huge packet right over here. And literally it's silent too, because they're basically ball bearing or skateboard bearing-ish. They're a little smaller than regular 608 skateboard bearings, but they're actually like skateboard bearings. So they're quiet, and they run around this rubber boot, basically, or rubber grommet, that allows it to move through this channel really smoothly and easily. So you don't have a lot of noise either coming out of here like you would a lead screw, or even linear rails will be kind of noisy because the ball bearings are scraping against the insides of that metal housing. So it's going to be a little more louder than a regular bearing. So anyway, so Right now, this machine is set up for just one stepper motor. For the Y, I do and will be doing 2 stepper motors, one on this side where you can see this belt, and one over here, obviously is already on there. This one is broken. I have to get another one out of my office. I have plenty of those, so I'm not worried. But I'm waiting really on a pulley that fits this 5mm shaft and more belts. So I ordered a longer belt that hasn't came in yet, and the reason why I know for sure I need it is because the belt here is too small. I'm missing about 10mm over here worth of travel move. I want to get all the travel I can out of my machine. And then also on this side, you know, I'm not all the way on the end of the X. I'm like literally 100mm or more off. So I need to get, you know, the belt to move all the way down there. Now, I do have a pulley here, and so this pulley is connected to this bracket down here, the 3D printed PLA, nothing super fancy. And then I have a M4 screw that goes all the way through with another bolt on the inside over here. And that is all zip tied up into this belt, which is pulled and tensioned to make it nice and tight. And then it's going onto this pulley. This is an 8mm diameter pulley with a 20 teeth on it. And it going to connect to this. Basically, it's a skateboard bearing that's press fitted into a housing that makes it look like a pillow block. It's called like the KP08 or KL08 or something like that. I can't remember the exact terminology, but basically you can get a lot of these for pretty cheap. I got a whole pack of them from like Amazon. You can see. Anyway, so that's connected to this pulley here, and it has little grommet screws that you attach to the rod itself. Like you screw it down so it can actually be mounted to this. This is an 8mm rod, goes all the way to the end, hits another pulley on a belt. Same situation as the other side, same connection as the other side with a zip tie, 4mm bolt, you know, and then same thing on here. I had to cut down the 8mm rod. I had another piece of it that I cut these little parts out of, so something like this with a angle grinder. And then I smooth it out, make it look really professional and nice. And then I add it to here, and it makes another whole pulley. So when this motor moves, it moves both sides. And they're perpendicular from each other, so it makes it really straight. And then this one is just by itself, and on 3 of the V wheels, and this is inside its own V slot as well, and it goes all the way down. So with all that out of the way, let's talk about the actual laser controller here. So like I said, this is the laser controller AWC708S, not the C light, C as in Charlie. That one is the younger version, or older version of this one. So this is like the newer updated version. Anyway, the machine, if I press reset, it'll home. So once it turns back on, it's just like if you shut the power off. It'll do the same thing if you shut the power off. Hits the end stop, and then this one hits the other end stop. So Y is first, X is second, and then it does a little homing sequence, and then moves to the center of where it's going to start cutting at. Now the center to itself, it thinks it's right here because it's not going all the way down that way. I programmed it that way, but I will update it later when I get longer belts. And then it comes up with this weird duck character. Kind of look like Daffy Duck, but I'm not going to get into all that. Anyway, it's awesome because if you hit stop and start, at the same time, you get this manufacturer parameters settings, basically, and you can change everything. This is where you want to go to change your speed for your stepper motors, the length of how far your travel is. So if you can only do 500, but it's set for 450, you need to set it up correctly to get to that 500. You can do it through here, usually. Unless you have to go to menu, and then you can change some other stuff in here. So there's 2 basically different menus. Anyway, for this controller, since I didn't see a lot of documentation on it. If you guys want me to do tutorial videos on this controller, I don't mind doing so for you, but I'm not going to do it if it's going to waste my time and nobody's going to watch it. So keep that in mind. Now, the controller board for the laser is like the only real laser part that I bought, other than the laser C02 cutter thing that I have to take apart and put into here. But other than that, all the other parts were 3D printer parts. So we got, you know, skateboard bearing, pillow block bearing things, GT2 pulley belts, V wheels for, you know, Ender 3s and CR10s, 3D printers. And then we got, and basically an Ender 3 power supply. I bought this off of some dude off of eBay for like 30 bucks, I think, or less than that maybe. And it's a 24 volt power supply. It gets fed in through these wires here, goes into the power port. And then I have another jumper connecting the stepper motor drivers to this, so these are powered up with 24 volts as well. And then you can actually pull all these out. These are the stepper, the 3D printer end stops that I just showed you. These are the connections, but you can actually pull all these out and adjust them and then pop them back in, so they're plug and play. And then with that being said, guys, that's pretty much the machine. And if I do a reset, it homes. If I want to move it, it will move. Moves pretty quick, I believe. I have it set up as fast as it can go without skipping steps. So, and then you can set an origin, have it start printing from that location, or cutting from that location. 3D printer language, printing. But yeah, clearly it would work if I just press. This is going to be the cool part about it, but I'm going to wait a second. Let me just show you the bed really quick. So the bed is actually made out of 20 by 40 aluminum excursions with 3D printer lead screws. These are 8mm lead screws with a T-nut, the 8T8 nut or something like that. And then we have 8mm linear rods with bearing blocks in there. And then we have a 60-tooth pulley on all four at corners. And then these are actually threaded inside of this excursion. So I actually threaded and tapped the holes and then put M6 bolts in here. Then I'm going to put a M4 bolt and a lock nut on this side here. But other than that, that's the size of the bed. And it's pretty big for the most part. I mean, honestly, I'm not exactly sure how big it is because I wasn't worried too much about measurements. And it varies because of material and all that. But I wanted way bigger than only 11 inches by 8 inches. And this definitely is way bigger than that. Anyway, so let's go ahead and show you guys really quick how this works. So now that we have everything programmed and kind of running and all that, if we hit start, this comes up with, look, once you turn on the machine, you'll get this duck, and you can actually use it to test out your movements. So if you just hit start, what's cool about it is, let me just show you, it draws it out. And it goes to the center first, because I didn't set the origin, but it draws it out in real time. So literally, if you slow down the speed, say you're moving at 50 millimeters a second, it will be a lot slower than this. Or if it was 1,000 millimeters a second, it will be a lot faster than this. So literally, it matches the movement of whatever your speed setting is, which is fantastic. And it shows you exactly where you're at. So literally, if you're not wanting to engrave or cut out a part and you like thought you messed up and you need to pause it or whatever, you can do that. All I have to do is hit pause. Take the material out and be done. And you know exactly where you need to pause at. So say you didn't want to put that word, like, oh no, I don't want that word there. Pause it, take it out, whatever. You're good. Then you can start back up again, as long as you know exactly where it's at. So this machine is fantastic. Now I need to re-3D print a few things. This needs to be re-3D printed because it was too tall. I don't want my mirror getting too close to the roof of the machine. And this needs to be re-3D printed because the hole is too big for my C02 laser head. And on top of that, it's too thick for it to connect. So I already redesigned and tweaked those. I just have to print them out. And then I have to print out one more of these motor brackets. And that'll be it for the printing for so far. Other than the laser tube mounts. And probably some you know, door handle hinges or something, because I'm going to have like a door that lifts up. I may have some gas struts in the corner to keep it up there so I don't have to worry about it, but at the moment, it's pretty good, and it's running pretty smoothly, I gotta say. Like, you can't even really hear it, right? Barely. And what's great about it is these are not even trinamics. So usually in a 3D printer world, you're running these trinamic TMC 2208s or 2209s or whatever, or 210 whatever, 2100s. So the stepper driving is silent for the 3D printer. It's a lot quieter than the stock stuff. But since this is a 32-bit processing motherboard, it's doing like super fine precision process work, so it's not straining the stepper motor pulses. And this is set at 32 microsteps. So literally I'm at the highest microstepping setting that allows me to get ultra fine details, and it's still moving very quietly. I'm very surprised about that. But it's fantastic, and I haven't had any issues yet. I had a few skip steps. I had to, adjust settings or whatever at first, but everything's running fantastically. I'm glad you guys stood tuned until the end. I appreciate all the comment, support, and help that you guys have been offering and doing toward, giving me over these last few months. And if you guys have any questions or concerns about anything, definitely comment down below. I'm here to help. If you guys are interested in building something like this or need design files or whatever, I'll post them to Thingiverse if I need to. Honestly, nobody seems to really care, so I never really worry about it. But, I still have the CNC machine that I haven't uploaded yet. I've been wanting to. I've just been obviously busy. But if you guys are asking for it, I'll throw it up there as soon as possible. But if not, I'll just worry until somebody asks me, I guess. But, I will be uploading this to my Facebook group. It is Blender Designs in IRL. We bring things into real life through Blender processes. So if you like anything like that, definitely consider joining the group. And I'll be posting this probably to YouTube as well later on tonight, so you guys can see it on my YouTube channel, because I'm really onto YouTube more than I am Facebook, so I'm just used to it. I appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe, let me know what you think. My name is Legit Lee. You guys have a nice night, and stay safe out there with these viruses and all.